Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. Today's artist and song was chosen by our patrons, and I'm very excited for what they've selected. They've asked me to go a little bit deeper into Chris Cornell's voice, which is exactly what I wanted to do. And on top of that, they even selected a song that's going to allow me, I think, to really hear new details. I recently heard Chris Cornell for the first time in Hunger Strike and was just intrigued. I think he has a great, unique sound, definitely like a great frontman rock sound, and I just wanted to understand more. So the patrons selected Like a Stone, the live acoustic version from the Unplugged sessions at AOL. I am pumped for this. I love hearing voices in live and acoustic situations because it allows me to hear a little more detail about what's happening. And I also love seeing exactly how they're forming those sounds. We can hear a lot of that, but seeing it is even better. So yes, all the way around. I'm very excited. And I did a little bit of reading as well about Chris Cornell and Audioslave. This will be my first time hearing a song by Audioslave. This song apparently was the second single released by Audioslave, and it was in 2003. It was number one as well of the modern rock charts. And then just a little bit more about Chris Cornell. I think he's received 3 Grammys, nominated for 16. And on top of that, he also is considered by many to be one of the greatest rock voices of all time. So let's get into it.
This song is called Like a Stone. I'm Chris Cornell. It goes like this. On the cobweb afternoon in a room full of emptiness by a freeway, I confess I was lost in the pages of a book full of death, reading how we die alone, and if we're good we'll lay to rest anywhere we wanna go.
I am immediately intrigued by how little he is moving his mouth. I see a lot of times people who aren't willing to move the front of their mouth also aren't willing to move the back parts of their mouth. That's not the case here. So he's keeping the frontal area pretty closed. It sounds like his soft palate is a little bit down, so we're getting a little bit of sound through the nose as well. And I hear, though, still good formation of different words in the tongue. So a lot of times when people are keeping their mouth closed, they're not moving their tongue around and really activating different sounds. But you can keep the front of your mouth closed and have an active tongue, which is what he's doing here. And I'm also intrigued because that raspiness that I hear or heard in his voice before that I was thinking was really nice, really great for a rock voice especially, I hear that throughout. So that tells me that's something, I think that's something very native to his sound. I don't think it's something he's put on. I would imagine he's always had a little bit of that huskiness in his tone quality. You hear it low, and when he went up high, he actually sounded like he might have combined the chords just a little bit more, or it might have had a little more closure because it cleaned up a little bit at one point. Let's go back to the beginning. Surprise.
I'm Chris Cornell. It goes like this. On the cobweb afternoon in a room full of emptiness by a freeway, I confess I was lost in the pages.
I love the openness I've heard overall up to here. There's a lot of even a gentle approach, which I think might shock a bunch of you. It's when you hear his voice, I don't think you think, oh, that's a gentle voice. I think he has a gentle approach here, which is really healthy. And he's singing just on some nice, smooth air. He's not launching air in any way. He's not tightening up to try and create a manufactured sound. He's using that natural rasp that he has, just very, very gently. It's good phonation.
I've a book full of death, reading how we die alone. And if we're good, we'll lay to rest anywhere we wanna go. But any house I long to be, room by room, patiently I'll wait for you there, like a stone. I'll wait for you there alone.
I loved hearing that little bit of fry at the end there as well. He opens his mouth a lot more when he's going up to these higher notes, which is it is a proper technique to do, is to open your mouth more for high notes, drop for the top, as we sometimes coin it. And I like seeing the tongue movement there. It seems like the tongue is not. It seems like it's disassociated in many ways from laryngeal movement. So I don't see like the tongue really pushing down in the back. It seems like it's got some good movement even when the mouth is open as well. So that's cool. I am really, I'm loving the way that he's approaching some of these high notes. There are times when he'll approach them with a feeling that is just more distraught. And there's times when he approaches them with a feeling that has more longing. And I think that these different feelings can actually lead to different technical ways of approaching them. Sometimes it sounds like he's saying a little wide, and that gives it will lean into the rasp and actually let more breathiness in the sound. And then sometimes it sounds like he's approaching it more vertically, and that kind of zips up the sound, and you hear a little more of a domey resonance come in just a little bit. Let's go back here and I'll explain moments where I'm hearing that. House there was one of a good example of a wider moment. One more time.
Anywhere we wanna go. Any house I long to be.
So 2 was one where he zipped up, and this might be very associated also with the kind of vowel that he's singing. House is going to be a much wider, more open vowel. 2 is definitely a closed vowel, meaning that house has more opening at the front and 2 has more closure at the front. And both of these vowels can significantly impact the air pressure in the vocal tract, which can also impact that phonation then. So ooh, because it has more closure, might sort of reflect a little bit of air pressure back, whereas a house is so open, all the air would just be tumbling out. Wow. There's so much distraught longing in this. If we just talk about the emotion and the lyrics here, I think it's a very, it's a sad picture, but a resigned picture at the same time. And in some ways also a hopeful picture. It's got a lot of mixed emotions. I understand that the song's lyrics are essentially about an old man who is waiting for death, waiting to rejoin others that have gone before him. And Chris Cornell even at one point talked about it being more of a general observation of death and what happens after life, or God. So it's kind of interesting. There's different interpretations even within the band about what this song could mean. And I feel like we get so many different kinds and shades of emotion in his voice during this chorus. And this is just the first chorus I've heard of it. In your house, I long to be, room by room patiently. I'll wait for you there like a stone. I'll wait for you there alone. And even goes to like a little thing at the end. I hear so many different colors of longing. I think that's beautiful. I think that as people are desperately wanting something, that it doesn't stay the same. You shift. And if you even think about a child pleading for something, they'll find different ways to plead for it to see if they can get it. And if you're wanting something from the unknown, you could approach it in so many different ways emotionally, and even day to day that might change. So I love the way that I got such a wide variety of emotions just within this one chorus already. Let's keep going.
On my deathbed, I will pray to the gods and the angels, to the pagans, or anyone who will take me to heaven, to a place I recall. I was there so long ago. The sky was bruised, the wine was bled, and then you led me on. But in your house, I long to be.
Something about this is just like making the tear ducts open. Yeah, I feel like it's pure emotion. I'm not sure what some of those words were, to be really honest. The diction here was not pristine classical diction, for sure. That's definitely more casual, definitely just telling a story. Sounds like it's rolling out very naturally. And the emotion it's charged, impacts, it makes you feel something. It's way more important for a singer to deliver message and emotion than any kind of pretty sound. And there are times I think when he makes a pretty sound, but I also think that he with the grit and sometimes nasality that comes in, it's got a much more real and rugged sound that I think is also very relatable. So I'm going to go back again. I was a little shocked by the emotion of it, and I don't really understand what he was doing technically at some of those points because I was just feeling the feels. I think On is a really good example of where the soft palate is down. And he also sounds like he widened the space back here, had a little more dome in it. And the On almost sounds like a French vowel. French vowels are sometimes, they have nasal vowels, where essentially that soft palate does drop. So instead of on, or instead of ah, we would have on, and the soft palate's dropped and has that nasality in it. Check it out.
You led me on.
Now, what that sound does emotionally, I think can really vary from person to person. But I feel like an emotional tug from it. I think that's interesting that I'm curious if you chose to drop the soft palate there and go for that sound like more in this area. I don't know, but I find it fascinating.
Me on. But in your house, I long to be. Roam by
little tiny riffs that he adds in here. They're really subtle. He just does like little quick run. Let's see, in here, there's one. Right there. It's really fast, and it's smooth. Huh. Ooh, that was interesting that he connected that top note to the bottom one. Wait a second. That's really interesting. I don't think he took a breath between those two notes, right where I stopped here. It was nice. In Alone, he does another thing. I can hear that soft palette going up and down in there. It's a pretty... I think if you don't know what to listen for, you might not catch it. It's the difference between essentially having a sound that feels a little more focused versus a little more billowy is one way to look at it. It can create a very nasal sound when the soft palette is down. But I hear him adjusting that depending on different notes and vowels that he's going to. And especially when he's going down here, he really seems to drop that soft palette a little bit more to give it that focus. Hey, just have to say, I didn't know if I wanted to get too much into this in this video, but he was found dead in 2017, and that death was caused by suicide. I think it was suicide by hanging. And hearing him sing this now with all of this longing and emotion, and he's waiting there alone, it's like, I wonder what caused that. I feel terrible for it. I feel like it's such a loss. And this song is hitting extra hard, and the words in it, I think, are hitting extra hard, knowing where he eventually ended up. So to all of you that are feeling that pain as well, I just want to acknowledge some of those emotions.
And I said in regret for all the things I've done, for all that I've blessed, all that I've wronged dreams.
Wow.
Until my death, I wander on.
Wow. That was beautiful. This is beautiful, and that rough, diamond in the rough kind of beauty here. This is not the sound I would want to hear at an opera house. I don't think it would work on that stage. I think that the soft palette down would probably disperse the sound anyhow. But I think it's so gorgeous, the way it feels so human. And it's like this beautiful combination of good technique and just natural sound that's been refined.
Until my death, I wander on.
I love his tuning in there.
Until my death,
So when he goes up there, he goes slightly under, like a little slide under to it.
I wander
Beautiful on pitch.
on.
And all of those little notes in there were just perfectly tuned, 100% in tune.
Until my death, I'll wander on. In the earth, along the beat, roam by roam, patiently, I'll wait for you there.
Ooh, that was fun. I did like a little yodel up there.
Patiently, I'll wait for you there.
So this is a great example of where just using a different register, I think he flipped into a tiny bit of falsetto at this moment, and just pulling in a different register was a great way to give it a different, obviously a different timbre or color. But at the same time, it's also pulling in a different motion. Like I feel like the longing tends to be very much here right now. And then there's like a moment where he says you, and it goes back there. Now this might just be because I associate lots of different placement in the head and vocal tract with different registers or colors. And so I would think about an emotion that goes back like this as something that might even be sweeter to me personally, but you could totally interpret that in a different way. It's cool, either way you look at it.
Patiently, I'll wait for you there. Like a stone, I'll wait for you there.
We're going to go back and hear this ending again in just a bit. I just want to say one of the other things I have been really enjoying in his voice the whole time is a feeling of consistently singing through on a line. So I hear, it's like the sound energy isn't dipping at any point. It just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. That's a really beautiful thing to me. A lot of times people try to manufacture each note as it's going by, and you get these kind of like sausages in the sound energy, essentially. And in this, it feels like it has smoothness to it. And I've mentioned that smoothness in a couple different places. He has this beautiful dichotomy of smoothness and roughness in his voice that is very attractive. And that smoothness isn't just in the timbre, but it's also in the beautiful lines that he's singing. So let's go back a little bit, maybe to right here.
Patiently, I'll wait for you there. Like a stone, I'll wait for you there.
Nice extra fry. I love it when people embrace a sound that is theirs and their own and use it to create something that is beautiful and human. And I feel that Chris Cornell really embraced that natural sound he was given. I wonder what a voice teacher would have told him. I wonder if he ever had a voice teacher say, "Oh no, you need to shift this and this and this so that you sound more cookie cutter." And I hope that that didn't ever happen, because the unique quality of his voice and how he's able to create these emotions in his voice really, I think it really connects. I think it has so much realism to it that it's very, very attractive. And I think it's become iconic, right? I don't want people to ever feel like they need to sound like someone else. I want them to sound just like them and then relate the experience of being a person on this planet with their voice as much as they possibly can, connect to their message and deliver that with their own voice. And when somebody does that really well, I think that's when we get chills. I think that's when we feel that the message really struck home. That's exactly what happened in the song. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. It was human. I thought that was really awesome. Not only that, I think that it's just really cool to have a balance of smoothness and roughness in the sound. Fascinating. Really fascinating. So thank you so much to our patrons for suggesting this. This was just delightful to get to see him sing live and hear him without as much going on behind him. Just really hear his voice. It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. And everybody out there, you are welcome to come join our patrons too. We have an awesome Patreon that is very active, and obviously they make great song suggestions. And on top of that, we also play games together, have lots of live chats together. I welcome you to join us if you would like to. And if you want to make any suggestions just on YouTube, please leave those in the comments below the videos. We look for your suggestions there and we track them. And you can also find out more about singing in general or music at thecharismaticvoice.com. See you somewhere soon.